Well, making sure that we're able to make every single solitary person eligible for what I've been able to do with the COVID. Excuse me, with dealing with everything we have to do with. Look, if we finally beat Medicare, we're providing housing for Black Americans. The impact on the choice, the idea that they're gonna. I'm proposing that everybody the millionaires pay 1%. So no one I've not raised the cost of Social Security for anybody. I got my handicap, which when I was vice president, down to a 6. And wants to get rid of the ability of Medicare for us to be able to negotiate drug prices with the big pharma companies. What I'm going to do is fix the tax system. For example, we have 1,000 trillionaires in America. Billionaires in America. No one was hurt. No one Israeli was accidentally killed, and it stopped. And I'm going to continue to move until we get the total ban on the total initiative relative to what we're going to do with more border patrol and more asylum officers.
Whew, that was a complete disaster. That was our commander-in-chief in name only, Joe Biden, during the presidential debate where Trump clobbered him. But I want to get to my favorite part, which was the golf segment of the debate, the back and forth these two had on the game of golf. And then I'll go into some of the other parts throughout the debate and analyze that, my opinion on it. Let's check it out.
I'm in very good health. I just won 2 club championships, not even senior, 2 regular club championships. To do that, you have to be quite smart, and you have to be able to hit the ball a long way, and I do it. He doesn't do it. He can't hit a ball 50 yards. He challenged me to a golf match. He can't hit a ball 50 yards.
You can see he is 6'5" and only 223 pounds, or 235 pounds. Well, you said 6'4", 200. Well, anyway, anyway, just take a look at what he says he is, and take a look at what he is. Look, I'd be happy to have a
talking about his weight.
driving contest with him. I got my handicap, which when I was vice president, down to a 6. But by the way, I told you before, I'm happy to play golf if you carry your own bag. Think you can do it?
That's the biggest lie that he's a 6 handicap of all.
I'm sorry, that was my favorite part. These two going back and forth off, away from the debate questions, going back and forth about who's better and this and that, the swing. And Donald Trump Jr. actually called for a golf match between these two. And I would actually watch it. I think Trump would beat the brakes off of him in a golf match. It would be no contest. But Joe Biden actually made me laugh with that statement about carrying his own bags and you think you can handle it. I thought that was pretty funny, despite what I think about the commander-in-chief in name only. Now, who won the debates? Let's check out a flash poll from CNN.
7% of debate watchers. Who won the debate? We asked debate watchers in our instant poll. And the answer is a resounding Donald Trump did. 67% of debate watchers in our poll say Donald Trump won the debate tonight. Joe Biden, 33% say he won the debate tonight. Now, this group of debate watchers, they told us who they thought would win the debate going into it before the debate, and take a look at how that changed over time. 55% thought before the debate that Donald Trump would win the debate. 45% thought Joe Biden would win the debate. Look at what the debate did to those expectations. That's who won the debate, we asked debate.
12% difference on 24% swing. Minus 12 for Joe Biden, plus 12 for Trump. It was clear as day that Donald Trump won that debate. And what scares me is that there are actually people who think Biden won, and they're still going to vote for him no matter what. If he's the nominee, we'll get into that maybe another video. I'll touch on that a little bit later. Let's keep going here.
Like so many politicians, this man is just a complainer. He said, we want to do this, we want to do that, we want to get rid of this tax, that tax. But he doesn't do anything. All he does is make our country unsafe by allowing millions and millions of people to pour in. Our military doesn't respect him. We look like fools in Afghanistan. We didn't stop Israel. It was such a horrible thing that would have never happened. It should have never happened. Iran was broke. Anybody that did business with Iran, including China, they couldn't do business with the United States. They all passed. Iran was broke. They had no money for Hamas or Hezbollah, for terror, no money whatsoever. Again, Ukraine should have never happened. He talks about all this stuff, but he didn't do it. For 3.5 years, we're living in hell. We have the Palestinians and we have everybody else rioting all over the place. You talk about Charlottesville. This is 100 times Charlottesville, 1,000 times. The whole country is exploding because of you, because they don't respect you, and they have to respect their president, and they don't respect you throughout the world. What we did was incredible. We rebuilt the military. We got the largest tax cut in history, the largest regulation cut in history. The reason he's got jobs is because I cut the regulations that gave jobs, but he's putting a lot of those regulations back on. All of the things that we've done, nobody's never seen anything like, even from a medical standpoint, right to try, where we can try space-age materials instead of going to Asia or going to Europe and trying to get, when you're terminally ill, now you can go and you can get something. You sign a document. They've been trying to get it for 42 years. But you know what we did for the military was incredible. Choice for our soldiers, where our soldiers, instead of waiting for 3 months to see a doctor, can go out and get themselves fixed up and readied up and take care of themselves, and they're living. And that's why I had the highest approval rating in the history of the VA. So all of these things, we're in a failing nation, but it's not going to be failing anymore. We're going to make it great again.
It was Trump trying to make his case to the American people how bad Joe Biden is with all these wars going on, with what's going on in the Middle East, going on in Ukraine, the poor Afghanistan pullout. Let's check this out. This is just 3 people, but I want you to see their reaction, what they think of Joe Biden after the debate, and if they're going to vote for him.
And keep your hand up if you're still with him. Raise your hand for me if you voted for Biden in 2020. And keep your hand up if you're still with him this time around after that debate. Slowly going down. Raise your hand for me if...
Not just 3 people, but it's 2 out of 3. You had one loony bin in the middle who is going to vote for Joe Biden. Why? I don't know. She has to fill up her gas tank, or I know she goes to the grocery store. You see this inflation with your own eyes. And if you've been paying attention, you see the border is out of control too. I've actually been in a debate with a guy here on Twitter. This is probably him right here responding to me. But I've showed him multiple sources about Joe Biden's border crisis with 10 million illegals crossing over, attempting to cross the border. And he still blames it on Trump. For some reason, he blames the border crisis on Trump when 2.3 million people attempted to cross under Trump and 10 million under Biden. Some people you just can't get through to. Here's a little bit of panic from the Democrats.
Watch, where does this go? There is widespread panic among Democrats. I got a number of text messages this evening. Democrats reaching out to say this is difficult to watch. Where does this go from here? One Democratic lawmaker, Tom, going so far as to say this race is effectively over.
Now, I will get into that a little bit later, but I'm hearing that a lot. The Democrats are panicking because of Joe Biden's performance, and there's a lot of talk, speculation of what they will do. Are they going to attempt to replace him? There might be meetings going on. Is Obama going to be involved with this? Of course, now you have names being thrown out like Gavin Newsom, Gretchen Whitmer from Michigan, things and people like that, certain governors. It's anybody's guess what's going to happen, but we'll touch on that in a little bit. I love how, now, one thing I do love about what Trump did during this debate is he hammered Joe Biden on the border crisis. I think what he did very well is he didn't get baited into certain questions. They tried to bait him on certain issues, bait him on certain issues, and he just kept going back to the border, resorting back to the border, hammering Joe Biden, which I think was very effective.
Did you fire anybody? Did you fire anybody that's on the border? that's allowed us to have the worst border in the history of the world? Did anybody get fired for allowing 18 million people, many from prisons, many from mental institutions? Did you fire anybody that allowed our country to be destroyed? Joe, our country is being...
Now, he said 18 million. Of course, 10 million apprehensions at the border, but there have been known gotaways as well. We don't know the full extent of that number, how many people have actually been coming across since Biden's been in office. But we know we have 10 million documented apprehensions at the border, people attempting to cross over, and about 1.7 million gotaways.
Destroyed as you and I sit up here and waste a lot of time on this debate. This shouldn't be a debate. He is the worst president. He just said about me because I said it. But look, he's the worst president in the history of our country. He's destroyed our country. Did you fire anybody?
And he is, and he's right. Have you fired anybody at the border who has not been doing their job? People in DHS? What have you done to make the border more secure? You reverse so many policies of Trump. I think 64 policies that he's reversed, or 64 actions that have been taken to make the border less secure. Stop building the border wall, returning those funds, reinstating catch and release, stopping remain in Mexico. Things like that make the border much more unsecure than what it was under Trump. And even Obama had a much better border than Biden. I'll give credit where credit is due. Obama was not that bad, statistically speaking, on the border. All right, let's keep going here.
And he caused the inflation. He's blaming inflation, and he's right, it's been very bad. He caused the inflation, and it's killing black families and Hispanic families and just about everybody. It's killing people. They can't buy groceries anymore. They can't. You look at the cost of food where it's doubled and tripled and quadrupled. They can't live. They're not living anymore. He caused this inflation. I gave him a country with essentially no inflation. It was perfect. It was so good. All he had to...
It was 1.4% when Trump left office. And now its prices have risen in totality about 19.4% overall, about 7.6% a year.
Do is leave it alone. He destroyed it with his Green New scam and all this money that's being thrown out the window. He caused inflation. As sure as you're sitting there, the fact is that his big kill on the black people is the millions of people that he's allowed to come in through the border. They're taking black jobs now, and it could be 18, it could be 19, and even 20 million.
All right. So black jobs. There's a lot of controversy about that. Another thing I'm debating this guy about, he's, black jobs. Okay, they're taken out of context like to do everything else that Trump says. He's meaning jobs held by blacks. There's no reason to think otherwise. He's talking about the illegal aliens coming across the country and jobs being taken by immigrants who could have gone to black people. It is a fact that over the past few years, more jobs have been created for foreign-born people than Americans. Illegal, legal, I don't know. But that's what he's referring to. He's referring to allowing illegal aliens to come, immigrant, whatever you want to call them, to come across the country and fill jobs that could be filled by blacks. That's what he's referring to.
Million people. They're taking black jobs and they're taking Hispanic jobs, and you haven't seen it yet, but you're going to see something that's going to be the worst in our history.
I mean, I don't know. I didn't take it any other way, but people are going ballistic over this. Look, black jobs, Hispanic jobs. He's not saying there is a black job. Again, a job held by a black person, or a potential job held by a black person. A job potentially held by a black person is what he meant. And this is where Joe Biden says there was no inflation when he became president.
There was no inflation when I became president. There was no inflation when I became president.
Boom. He said two different things. He said there was no inflation when I became president because he destroyed all the jobs. He decimated the economy. he said there were no jobs when I came in, so there was no inflation or something like that. Something stupid. And then he says he caused inflation by the way he recklessly handled COVID, or his reckless spending, or the way he handled COVID or something. So he said two different things. Two things that were not true. He spent, if you look at his spending levels throughout his presidency, it was about $4 trillion a year, and now Biden is at $6 and $7 trillion a year. The only year where Trump spent $6 trillion was when COVID happened, because to save the American economy, to keep people employed and to keep money in people's pockets. They can spend money and things like that. That's what that was for. And of course, Joe Biden kept spending and spending and spending. So yeah, he said there was no inflation when he came off. He said it out of his mouth because he destroyed all the jobs. He said unemployment rate was 15% or something, which is a lie. Unemployment rate got up to 14.7% when COVID initially happened. Then it went down to 6% when he left office. About 6.3, 6.7%, somewhere in there. So Joe Biden doesn't know what he's talking about. I know these numbers off the top of my head because I've studied it, and Joe Biden is just a liar. All right, let's keep going here.
Open up our country to. We had the safest border in the history of our country. The border, all he had to do was leave it. All he had to do was leave it. He decided to open up our border, open up our country to people that are from prisons, people that are from mental institutions, insane asylum, terrorists. We have the largest number of terrorists coming into our country right now, all terrorists, all over the world, not just in South America, all over the world. They come from the Middle East, everywhere. All over the world, they're pouring in. And this guy just left it open. And he didn't need legislation because I didn't have legislation. I said, close the border. We had the safest border in history. In that final couple of months of my presidency, we had, according to Border Patrol, who is great, and by the way, who endorsed me for president, but I won't say that, but they endorsed me for president. Brandon, just speak to him. But look, we had the safest border in history. Now we have the worst border in history. There's never been anything like it. And people are dying all over the place, including the people that are coming up in caravans. We had the safest border in the history.
You have to hammer him on the border issue. That is the number one issue, in my opinion, this election. I've said it time and time again. I will continue to say the border is the most important issue because you have terrorists, people on terror watch lists being apprehended. You have recently had 8 people arrested in 3 American cities with ties to ISIS. And then you have these 50 people who are roaming the country who were smuggled in by an ISIS group. Doesn't mean they're terrorists, but they were smuggled in by an ISIS group, and that's a cause for concern. I believe the authorities they tracked 400 people that came into the country, and they have deported about 150 of those people with under ISIS smuggling groups, something like that. But yeah, the border is a huge cause for concern, and this is what makes me sick right here. The 12-year-old girl was killed by 2 illegal aliens who have been in the country for just a couple of months total. One came back in March, and I believe one was back in May. And the most stupid response I hear from people, the stupidest response when you say somebody was killed or raped by an illegal alien, and then they say, oh, well, there are other people being killed by Americans. It's just mind-blowing that somebody would give a response like that. But let's check it out from Uncle Joe.
Look, there's so many young women who have been, including a young woman who just was murdered, and he went to the funeral. The idea that she was murdered by an immigrant coming in, they talk about that. But here's the deal: there's a lot of young women who are being raped by their in-laws, by their spouses, brothers and sisters, it's just ridiculous, and they can do nothing about it. And they try to arrest them when they cross state lines.
Thank you.
There have been many young women murdered by the same people he allows to come across our border. We have a border that's the most dangerous place anywhere in the world, considered the most dangerous place anywhere in the world. And he opened it up, and these killers are coming into our country, and they are raping and killing women. And it's a terrible thing.
Look, there's so many young women who have been...
I mean, he's not wrong. People that have been let into the country by Joe Biden's DHS have raped and killed women. That is a fact. So for him to dismiss that, tell that to the mothers, the families of these people that have been killed, of these women and these girls. This 12-year-old girl here in Texas, in Houston, who got killed and possibly raped by these illegal aliens. They found her pants off, and they assaulted her. Tell that to the mother that, well, yeah, your daughter was killed by an illegal, but there are other Americans who have been raped by their brothers and sisters, by their brothers and spouses, whoever, in-laws. How insulting is that? How disgusting is that? That is the poorest excuse or the poorest comeback I've ever heard. It is terrible. It's insulting. It's disrespectful to the families of the victims. It's sickening. Here goes the shot heard around the world.
Border Patrol and move until we get the total ban on the total initiative relative to what we can do with more Border Patrol and more asylum officers.
President Trump?
I really don't know what he said at the end of that sentence. I don't think he knows what he said either. Look, we have to move into...
I mean, hey, I honestly, before he made that statement, I didn't know what he said. All right, here goes Joe Biden trying to be tough, playing tough guy like he always does. Let's go.
You're the sucker. You're the cemetery he refused to go to. He was standing with his 4-star general, and he told me, he said, I don't want to go in there because they're a bunch of losers and suckers. My son was not a loser, was not a sucker. You're the sucker. You're the loser.
President Trump?
First of all, that was a made-up quote, suckers and losers. They made it up. It was in a third-rate magazine that's failing, like many of these magazines. He made that up. He put it in commercials. We've notified him. We had 19 people that said I didn't say it. And think of this. Who would say I'm at a cemetery or I'm talking about our veterans? Because nobody's taken better care. I'm so glad this came up, and he brought it up. There's nobody that's taken better care of our soldiers than I have. To think that I would, in front of generals and others, say suckers and losers. We have 19 people that said it was never said by me. It was made up by him, just like Russia was made up, just like the 51
cemetery he refused to go to.
Russia.
General.
Russia was a hoax, big-time hoax. Hunter Biden laptop disinformation, that was hoax. The 51 intelligence officials saying that the Hunter Biden laptop was just misinformation. And then you have these 16 economists saying that Trump's going to destroy the economy or something like that. And this story here with the suckers and losers, you see him grinding, look, you're the sucker, you're the loser. My son was in the military. He always goes to his son, Bo, who did not die in combat. He always resorts to him. It's sad that he lost his son, but at the same time, don't use your son for political gain and for sympathy with military veterans. Don't do that. Yeah, but that's about it. Those are the clips that I retweeted here. I thought I found it very interesting. I wanted to retweet things. I can just go down the line and show you. But here's another one that I thought was pretty good.
Beast mode.
3, 2, 1.
He said we killed 3 people. The people we killed are al-Baghdadi and Soleimani, the 2 greatest terrorists, biggest terrorists anywhere in the world.
Yeah, I thought that was great because I don't know what he was talking about. 3 people. I don't know what he's talking about, but the Trump resorted to, I'll tell you who we killed. We killed the 2 biggest terrorists on planet Earth. I thought that was great. You're touting your accomplishments, and he touted his accomplishments in that debate, and he also nailed Biden on inflation and the border, which I think was great. Let's keep going. Democrats are panicking. Joy Reid says Democrats are approaching a panic by Biden's extremely weak debate performance. Let's play a little bit of this video right here.
And a slight cold as well, so I understand not feeling well. And obviously Joe Biden comes in with certain deficits. He has a stutter. It is more difficult for him to communicate for that reason. So there's a lot to mitigate the way that he speaks, and you can understand it. And we've observed him for a long time. That said, I too was on the phone throughout much of the debate with Obama world people, with Democrats, with people who are political operatives, with campaign operatives. My phone really never stopped buzzing throughout. And the universal reaction was somewhere approaching panic. The people who were texting with me were very concerned about President Biden seeming extremely feeble, seeming extremely weak. And, you know, I'll just reiterate what I said earlier. President Biden had one job tonight, and it was one primary job. And yes, it was to litigate Donald Trump's, you know, criminality and all of those things. But he had to settle his own party. He needed to settle Democrats. Democrats, you know, they always talk about Democrats are bedwetters and Democrats are always panicking. Yes, Democrats are always panicking. They're always scared, right? They're always thinking they're going to lose. Like, Democrats are very pessimistic. This is just neurotic. Who they are. They're neurotic. But Joe Biden's job was to reassure them tonight. His job was to calm his party, to make them feel that, yes, I can do this. I have 4 more years in me. I have the ability and the stamina and the strength to do 4 more years. He did not do that. He did the opposite of that. He made them more panicked. The people who were texting me were even more panicked. They actually expected it to be better than it was. And now they're in I won't say a full-fledged panic, but it's getting there.
And are people that you're talking to who are expressing these concerns, are these people who are involved in Democratic politics, or are these liberals watching TV?
These are not liberals watching TV. These are campaign people. These are people who are either Democratic operatives. These are people who were former, you know, sort of Obama world administration people. These are people who are in the business. Okay. So the civilians are also panicking. They're also texting me, but I was trying to kind of ignore the civilians and really talk to the campaign folks. People are... they're worried, and there is, you know, it's not a full drumbeat yet, but there is talk.
Oh, there's panic all over the place. Civilians and people, the people who are not, just people watching TV and people involved with politics. Check out some more panic from the left.
Now, as we speak, there is a deep, a wide, and a very aggressive panic in the Democratic Party. It started minutes into the debate, and it continues right now. It involves party strategists. It involves elected officials. It involves fundraisers. And they're having conversations about the president's performance, which they think was dismal, which they think will hurt other people down the party in the ticket. And they're having conversations about what they should do about it. Some of those conversations include, should we go to the White House and ask the president to step aside? Other of the conversations are about, should prominent Democrats go public with that call? Because they feel this debate was so terrible. They do say, in moments in the debate later, the president got better and got his footing, but then at the end, even his closing statement was a little halting. The contrast between the two candidates. Let me be clear. None of them, and a lot of Republicans, don't think Donald Trump had a great night. Donald Trump broke the fact-check machine more than I can count.
You know, right, they know he had to go there. You know that. But anyway, let's keep going.
I'm not going to put a fine sheen on it or a spin on it, even though I'm in the spin room, Rachel. There has been a uniformly negative reaction to Biden's performance tonight. Surely, as you know, Joy said, this was about revealing who Donald Trump was, but it was also Joe Biden battling a caricature of himself as an enfeebled person, an impression that Trump has been eager to convey to the country, and he did nothing to disabuse, I think, the country of the notion that he is very old and was lost frequently in that debate.
Yeah. Last one here.
President Obama's campaign manager in 2008, David Plouffe, is with us. David, I know you have been talking to some muckety-mucks in Democratic politics, including what we gingerly call the donor class. What was your personal David Plouffe take on what you saw tonight, and what are you hearing from the people you've been speaking with?
Well, I think consistent with your reaction, Rachel, and others on the panel, it's kind of a DEFCON 1 moment.
See, it was bad. It was bad. And even President Obama, former President Obama admits it was a bad debate for Joe Biden. Here's what the 44th president had to say about this. He says, bad debate nights happen. Trust me, I know. But this election is still a choice between someone who has fought for ordinary folks his entire life and someone who only cares about himself. Twitter users jumped on this. The things you will say for that 4th term. Reporting this tweet for elder abuse. Hey, look, the puppet master wanted to chime in. Yeah. Obama even knew it was bad. And Obama is panicking. He's had meetings with Joe talking about the upcoming election. and he is worried. And Obama even was concerned back then after 2020, which was a sham. But anyway, he was concerned with the fact that Trump received so many votes. He thought it was going to be a complete blowout, but he was concerned that Trump received over 70 million votes. At the time, it was just over 70 million, but now it's up to 74 million votes for 2020 for Trump, and that concerned Barack Obama. But I thought it was a great night for Trump. Not everybody has the same opinion, but Biden was really bad. Trump was not perfect. There were some things that he may have exaggerated on, like he said the corporate tax rate was 39%. It was actually 35%. It dropped down to 21%. Could have been just a simple error, but he may have exaggerated on some things, and that's normal. I'm not saying everything he said was 100% correct, but if you just look at how bad Joe Biden was, even though Trump had a decent night, it was far better than the alternative. If you're right in the middle, the choice is clear as day. And there was a focus group. I forgot the guy's name, but he had 14 people who, and 10 of them said they were, I think they voted, half of them voted for Joe Biden in 2020, and there were some undecideds in there. And 10 of the people there said they were considering voting for Trump after this debate. That's how bad it was. If you look at the two men, whether you like them or not, you look at what one did in 4 years, look at what the other did in 4 years, the choice is clear as day. And I hope there were certain people that I know who are Democrats were watching that debate. Yeah, long video, but I wanted to take adequate time to discuss the debate, show some clips, give my opinion on it, and yeah, I just want to share that with you. But all right, guys, thanks for listening. Oh, guys, did I say something to offend liberals? Sorry, there are 53 genders. I'm kidding. Screw that. Have a great day. And thank you and take care.